welcome all of you to this Sunday webinar of Philosophy Family. Today we have with us Professor Dr. Bishnu Choudhury sir, very renowned figure in the Department of Political Science. We are really honored to have him in Philosophy Family this evening. Today he will be delivering a talk under the title India in World Affairs, Retrospect and Prospect. Dr. Choudhury is well known to be a great orator, a very good analyst. So we expect a lot of things from him. And I think after the talk, we'll be having a very good discussion on the views expressed by Professor Choudhury. So before moving to the talk, let me give a brief introduction. Well, he needs no introduction because he is well known to many in the Department of Political Science and also in other departments. But still, I would like to say that he served in different capacities in academic and also administrative positions in Barabar University and various other colleges for about 36 years. Even after retirement, he is not tired and he is not retired because he's still connected with the academic job, and he finds himself in the Department of Political Science, not only in Berhampur, in various other places too. So that's how the spirit of Professor Choudhury continues. And we are really blessed, we are really honored to have him in this forum today. And without wasting much time, let us all move to Professor Choudhury. But before that, let me tell that Professor Choudhury is well known as a great expert, an authority on state politics. But still, he carries a lot of weight in analyzing concepts in political science, and he is remembered in whatever seminars, symposia that being held in Odisha and also in various other parts of India. So I did not tell more about him because it will take a lot of time, because he has done a lot of things to the Department of Political Science. A number of scholars have been awarded the doctoral degree under him, and many of the scholars are working as teachers in different colleges. So we are really honored to have him. And today he will be speaking to us on under the title India in World Affairs, Retrospect and Prospect. So we wish to have a very nice lecture from him. And also, we would like to have a very good discussion on whatever ideas that he expresses. So with this, let us all move to Dr. Choudhury for a talk on the scheduled topic. Over to Dr. Choudhury. Professor Choudhury, welcome, sir. Namaskar.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. Hello.
Yes, sir. Audible, sir. Audible, but not visible, sir. You're
No,
audible, but sir, you're audible, but not visible.
when I will be visible, there would be a problem of net. So or I will open both.
Huh, sir.
Okay.
Okay, you're audible, and okay, now it is fine, sir. Because this will be uploaded in YouTube, so this will make a good thing. Okay,
Okay.
sir.
So I profusely thank the philosophy family for inviting me to speak on a topic which is of immense interest to all of us. I am introduced to this family through Professor Radhanath Behra, and I have enjoyed the different discourses and different talks organized by this philosophy family. My thanks are also due to Dr. Pramod Kumar Das, who is the live wire of this family. And I also welcome all the esteemed members who are associated with this family. I also see some of my student friends who are joining today. I welcome them. The topic given is India in World Affairs, Retrospect and Prospect. We all know that India is a very ancient country, an ancient society, and it has a recorded history of 5,000 years. The foreign policy of a country is determined by the times in which it is conducted. It is also being influenced by its history, its geographical position or location. As we all know, India became independent in 1947. But before we achieved independence, the Indian National Congress, which spearheaded the freedom struggle, and it was led by Mahatma Gandhi and other prominent leaders of the country. During that period of struggle, the foreign policy was formulated. Because what would be our ideology, what would be our principles, policies, and how we will go ahead, those were decided by the Indian National Congress and its leadership. Secondly, two persons who played an important role in formulating foreign policy have been Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, our first Prime Minister, and also Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia, who is known as a socialist of the highest order and very popular in Indian politics during a particular period of time. When India became independent in 1947, we had many wants. We got independence after a protracted struggle against the colonial rule, the British rule, and we joined after the Second World War. We joined many countries of the Third World, which later on was, of course, known as Third World, countries in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, who got independence after Second World War. The foreign policy of a country, it is said, is a sum total of principles, the interests, and objectives which the state formulates in conducting its relationship with other countries. It has also been said that the bricks and mortars of India's foreign policy, according to one author, are reason, science, culture, decency, restraint, understanding, tolerance, respect for other points of view, coexistence, and peace. So when we look back in retrospect to the formulation of Indian foreign policy, we must note it that it had to evolve its own view of the world and chart out its own course of action within the prevailing international situation. The foundations of Indian foreign policy were laid much before Indian independence, as I've indicated, during the struggle for freedom. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru played a very important role, and he wrote many articles pertaining to foreign policy during 1927 onwards. And between 1920 and 1946, the fundamental terms of reference for India's foreign policy after independence were chalked out. Gandhi had profound influence over the formulation of our foreign policy. But it was Nehru who fashioned its orientation and gave flesh and blood or details of our foreign policy. Nehru had the advantage of being the first Prime Minister of India, and he was also the Foreign Minister of India for 17 long years. Prime Minister, along with holding the foreign affairs portfolio or external portfolio. So he nurtured it very well, gave it flesh and blood. According to Nehru, India's foreign policy was rooted in India's civilization and traditions, India's struggle for freedom, and India's geographical position, and India's quest for peace, security, development, and a place in the sun. Nehru also said, I quote him, when he said it is completely incorrect to call our policy Nehru policy. I have not originated it. It is a policy inherent in the circumstances of India, inherent in the past thinking of India, inherent in the whole of mental outlook of India, inherent in the conditioning of the Indian mind during the struggle for freedom, and inherent in the circumstances of the world today. Professor V.P. Dutt, who was Pro-Vice Chancellor of Delhi University and was nominated as a member of Rajya Sabha, he said, Nehru was often accused of being an idealist and a moralist in foreign policy. He was neither. He was a great supporter of realism and in steering countries' foreign policy during the Cold War, with a focus on economic development or economic strength being given top priority. Pandit Nehru, when I say that he was a visionary and he was the person whom we should remember, because for a long time, when we were students in postgraduate classes, our teachers were telling us that whatever foreign policy documents that you find today, even in 70s, they were all been formulated by Nehru. Only some cosmetic changes have been made. Only some words have been added. Otherwise, the basic framework remained the same. So it was called Nehruvian foreign policy, though Nehru did not use the word foreign policy. He was in 1929 presiding over the Lahore session of the Indian National Congress. He said, I am a Republican and a socialist. I am not a supporter of the kings and Maharajas, nor do I support the modern kings of industries. He was a great supporter of republicanism. That means the head of the state be elected. He was influenced by Russian Revolution and the new economic policy that Lenin had adopted in Russia to make Russia from an agricultural country to industrial one. Nehru believed in centralized planning, and therefore he introduced the 5-year plans. He was a great supporter of public sector. Of course, during his period, there was mixed economy. Mixed economy is that economy which is neither socialist in character nor fully capitalist in pattern. He was for rapid industrialization. So all the steel plants, major steel plants that you find, they were the contributions of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. He was socialism. Often, when we use the word socialism, we get confused because Marxism is otherwise called scientific socialism. We have utopian socialism. We have Fabian socialism. We have guild socialism. Then chalked out a socialism called democratic socialism. That means socialism through democratic means. That means socialism through evolutionary means, not revolutionary. So you find the coinage of two words combined here, democratic socialism, and all of you know that till Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was alive, he clearly told that no word like socialism, socialistic pattern of society will be used in any of the Congress documents. Only after Sardar Patel died, you find the first mention was made in the Nagpur session. Secondly, the Avadi session near Chennai. And finally, at the Bhubaneswar session held in 1964, that was the last IIC session Pandit Nehru attended. Nehru returned, and 27th May 1964, he died. So he was a great protagonist of democratic socialism, and we greatly debated this issue. Then he decried any violence, either in foreign policy or in domestic policy. He was a great champion of the non-aligned movement. He was also a votary of world peace. He was opposed to secularism. Secularism is now a word which is being hotly debated in India. And after, under the amendment made in during emergency, 42nd Amendment, when in the preamble 4 words were used. One is 4 words were added to the original preamble of the Indian Constitution. So secularism, by secularism, Nehru said, we could not get a better word, so you utilize the word secularism. Because our ethos have been Sarva Dharma Samabhava, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhino, Sarve Santu Niramaya. This has been our ethos, religious ethos. But Nehru said, because we cannot or could not get a better word, we have to think in terms of secularism. Secularism means there is no state-sponsored religion. State will not discriminate on the ground of religion. So that has been also a very important policy now being talked about everywhere, because in the whole world, religion is now the basis. You might have heard about the class of civilization theory given by Samuel P. Huntington, who said in future the Third World War will be based on religion. So religion is a very important component of the foreign policy of many countries of the world. But we in India, because of Nehru, adopted secular theory and he was committed. Nehru was a great defender of civil liberties of the people. He was an internationalist. He believed in pragmatic diplomacy. He gave India a stature in the world affairs during his period as Prime Minister of India. He followed the middle path in the polarized world, neither the Western world or the American bloc nor the Soviet bloc. Nehru was known for his sense of history. He was a reputed historian and he wrote profusely on Indian history. He was a passionate advocate of decolonization. He believed that India's freedom was incomplete or will be incomplete till other of the Asia, Africa, Latin America, they get the freedom. India's successful struggle against apartheid in South Africa needs to be noted here, because Gandhiji started this in South Africa. His fighting or his struggle was to have the dignity of the Indians in South Africa. And Nehru took it to its logical conclusion. In his strike with speech on August 15, 1947, Nehru said, it is befitting that at this solemn moment we take the place of dedication to the long service of India, her people, and to the still larger cause of humanity. So humanity was in his mindset. He was a protagonist of scientific temper. He established education institutions for repute like IITs and IIMs. Even UGC was created. He constructed big dams and he called them the temples of economic development of India. But Nehru was also criticized, particularly Chakrabarti Rajagopalachari, who was acknowledged as a statesman even by American experts. The Americans viewed Chakraborty Rajagopalachari as a great statesman. He was India's last Governor General. He was former Chief Minister of Madras, composite Madras State, and he was a freedom fighter, and he was also a Samandhi of Mahatma Gandhi. So Rajagopalachari said, because he represented the rightist opposition, Nehru was characterized as a left-oriented or socialist oriented man. He attacked the foreign policy of Nehru, saying that Nehru is very soft towards Soviet Union, then USSR, which would not come to India's assistance during its most serious security challenge. He argued that the United States of America was a dependable ally and called for closer security ties with it. These were the two extremes that we find. The Nehruvian approach and Rajagopalachari's approach so far as the foreign policy was concerned. So now let me highlight some of the commitments of Indian foreign policy. India's foreign policy was committed to international peace and security. It is committed to develop. दामुनी के लिखी से ऑफ करो बोलता हूँ to develop friendly relations among nations. Our foreign policy so model that we are actively associated with the United Nations organization. You all know that after the First World War, the League of Nations was formed. Germany and others, they considered the Paris Peace Conference as a dictated peace. The Treaty of Versailles, that was there after First World War, was rejected by Germany and Italy. And because Germany could not be a member of League of Nations, Hitler saw to it that the whole League of Nations. And after the Second World War, United Nations organization with 51 member states, now this figure has gone to 193. And all of you know that till India is being one of the few countries of the world whose views are held in rapt attention. But India has been demanding realization of the what we called Security Council, because we have 5 members in Security Council, Russia, United Kingdom, and USA. Non-permanent members, temporary members.
Dr. Das, please mute Damuni Sora or remove her. Please. Professor Das.
Muted.
Yes, sir, continue.
So, we have not only expressed our confidence or in the UN system, but always wanted that all international problems is solved under the aegis of India has played a very important role since in the UN peacekeeping operations that you know. To maintain ocean zone as a zone of peace. India has always supported the cause of Palestinians. And now this is India has pursued the peaceful existence policy. India has always been championing the cause, but for peaceful purposes. When India entered the nuclear club, many people were critical about India, that you talk about peace on the one hand, and you are talking about nuclear energy, nuclear explosion at Pokhara, way back in 1974. That was repeated also by Atal Bihari Vajpayee. So naturally, we have categorically said always that our nuclear capability, our nuclear power, used for peaceful purposes. Human rights all over the world. Human rights violations today, always they are in the news. whether print or electronic. And India has consistently championed the protection of human rights. India has opposed colonialism, new colonialism, fascism, and imperialism. All these isms has uh, each one has a have been under the spell of colonialism for a long time. 190 years we were under the East India Company and the British Raj. 1757, 1857, and 1947. So 190 years. Then neocolonialism, then fascism. Fascism was a great danger to the world. Both the Nazism and fascism, they are being kept under one theory called fascist theory of state. And you know all that Nazism is a short form of the ideology of the National Socialist Party led by Adolf Hitler. But fascism was Mussolini in Italy, and the very philosophy of fascism is it is against democracy, it is any opposition, it believes in one party, it doesn't believe in what you call interest organization. They glorified war, glorified race, they indulged in racial discrimination policy or killing the Jews by Hitler, for example. So we were opposed. And finally, we were opposed to also imperialism, which is being debated widely. For example, when we talk about the Marxist approach, there was a time people questioned Marx talked about this, and finally said a time will come when there would be society. Where it has, we have not reached a stage where the state doesn't exist, or a state has withered away, or there is no classes. So naturally, a pamphlet, very important pamphlet, under the title Imperialism, and he said that because of the intervention, imperialism has not died down in the world. So that is another theory. We are against racism, particularly the fight of Mandela in South Africa. We were with him. Anywhere there is racial discrimination, we are against racial discrimination. Then we are for peaceful settlement of international disputes. Recently, our Honorable Prime Minister visited Poland and Ukraine. He said, can war be not ended? There is a scope for and we can resolve any issue peacefully. So we have been from the very beginning championing that. And it has also mentioned or mandated under Article 51 of the Constitution of India. When you go through the directive principle of policy, it says that we do not support war as an instrument of foreign policy. We are opposed lock, stock, and barrel. Everything negotiated upon to reach an international settlement. So peaceful settlement of international disputes that has been and no to war, which I always give the Bengalis the credit. They have the graffiti writing in Bengali in the walls, Juddhar Biruthe Juddha, war against war. When I saw first about 20 years back, this, no sir, we want peace, we do not want war. So we write Juddhar Biruthe Juddha, war against war. Said we had First World War, Second World War. If there would be a Third World War, during Fourth World War, people will fight with sticks. So now war is a very weapon used by egoistic powers. Look at only ego. Ego. Why are you with European? You come this side. Bending. So there is war. Israel Hamas war. Same ego and the building of image of the leaders who are in power or some of the regions and be attributed for the prevailing. Then another thing is to work with the third world countries to establish a new and just international economic order. Reflecting the nation's enlightened interest or national interest and its aspirations and foreign policy framework. Friendship with the socialist world. At one point of time, we were very friendly with. I can give an example. When the Indo-Soviet Treaty of Friendship and Cooperation was signed on 9th August 1970, and said an attack on India. I've heard communist leaders in Odisha, even in 1971, that look, because to counter the Seventh Africa, the power has come from the Lenin school to counter the Seventh Fleet of America, and Indians were saved, and Bangladesh was created. That was there. So the left influence was very much there. At one time, when the UPA was depending on the left continuance under Dr. The influence of the leftist MPs on formulating foreign policy. Another has been friendship with neighbors. How we are friendly with the neighbors is a $1 million question. Look at our relation with Pakistan. Look at the August 5th ouster of Sheikh Hasina. And now today the newspaper headline, after 25 days, we cannot keep Hasina in India. So what we should do is to be thought about. The Nepal also. These are very, very long topics. The conversation is very wide, so I cannot discuss except to suggest we do not have good neighborly relationship in spite of our efforts, because by their own interest and other they are interfering in the internal affairs of those countries and trying to create a situation not conducive for India's national interest. Then against war, as I have already indicated, listen to India with rapt attention in the global fora. That is power, that is our prestige, that is recognition in the world. We have rejected both Western model and the Soviet variety when we followed the foreign policy. We were against the use of temperate or intemperate language in international relations, particularly during civil dialogues. We are influenced by Ashoka's conversion to Buddhism, and we have been influenced by non-violence, these policy frameworks. Our foreign policy have always been following Indian views, particularly read about Lal Bahadur Shastri, who gave a slogan Jai Jawan and Jai Kisan, because in 1960 war we lost the, so the morale of the army was at the lowest ebb. So slogan Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan is moral. Our participation in the Bangladesh liberation struggle. A few lines because of that you all know that the two-nation theory of Jinnah has divided India, because Jinnah said Hindus constitute one nation and Muslims constitute one nation, so they cannot. So religion became the basis of the Republic of Pakistan. But when Pakistan was created, three parts. One is West Pakistan, and the other was the East. For example, the Sindh province, Lahore area, Rawalpindi, they West Bengal became East Pakistan virtually. East Pakistan and West Pakistan, there were series differences, many serious differences. Take, for example, in West Pakistan, they gave emphasis on Urdu, whereas out of their Bengali heritage, Bengali language. The distance between Rawalpindi then and Dhaka was 1100 miles. So, geographical distance. Third, all the raw materials are produced in the eastern part and industries came in western part. Number four, the Awami Party was having majority support in East Pakistan in the National Assembly of Pakistan, but in the western, the People's Party of Pakistan, led by Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, he was getting majority. So who the autonomy demand was articulated by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, whom we call Bangabandhu, and Mrs. Gandhi's diplomacy. We entered East Pakistan in the garb of Mukti Bahini and saw to it that Niyaji surrenders before Jagdish Singh Arora. So Bangladesh was created. I remember the media reported that the blue pato sari on and asked the speaker, sir, I want to give a measure of the Lok Sabha. So speaker allowed and Mrs. Gandhi declared, we recognize the Democratic Republic of Bangladesh. So that is why Bangladesh was created. So when Bangladesh was created, the newspapers in India, particularly Amrita Bazar Patrika, headline during those days, two nation theory dead, Pakistan divided, Bangladesh emerges as a sovereign democratic republic. Because at that time, even the statesman was writing, if blood is the price for democracy, the East Bengal is much, or East Pakistanis have given too much. So we created Bangladesh. What has happened? After 2-3 years, the Bangladeshis they became inimical to us. On August 15, just to say after roughly 4 years, Sheikh Mujib family, except one or two family, dog was killed. Major Zalim was leadership revolting, and now it is said that even America's hand was there. Hasina was Sheikh Hasina was removed on August 15th. She came and said, America demanded an island is facing. So our relationship with Bangladesh is very crucial. You know, Bangladesh is our great trade partner. Adani has invested thousands of crores in Bangladesh, and it is our neighbor. Our relations have been always up and down. But we supported Sheikh Hasina because Hasina ruled Bangladesh for continuously 15 years. That is also being debated now. We are committed to disarmament, or we are against nuclear arms race. We try to expand our relationship, enlarging our friendship with other countries, and diminution of enmities in the process. India's role in the climate diplomacy or climate negotiations now we play a major role because now the slogan is inclusive growth and sustainable development. India has also contributed in terms of 700 million people. They now say COVID-19 in the vaccine diplomacy, even in the election manifestos of different political parties, we manage foreign policy issues by all political measures. Political parties, they give a large number of points pertaining to foreign policy that they believe to be followed if they are voted to power. Prime Minister of India has contributed to the process of and how to face international problems. For example, Nehru, I have already discussed, he was a visionary. Lal Bahadur Shastri, our second Prime Minister, was also a tough man. He had been to Tashkent for an agreement, War of 1960, and on 11 January 1966, he died a mysterious death. Pages of history. Srimati Gandhi was also the Prime a pretty long time, definitely. And particularly the Indo-Soviet Treaty of Friendship and in 1971, or inked on 9th August, was a major breakthrough. Then Morarji Desai, also, he has his own foreign premiership. Late Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the foreign minister, who also contributed as foreign minister of India, Prime Minister of India. Particularly, A.B. Vajpayee's one word is very much his concept of insaniyat, or what we call humanity. Then we had Rajiv Gandhi, who was a young Prime Minister who pursued a foreign policy, but because of his Sri Lankan policy, he had to, he became a martyr for the cause. Because the Sri Lankans, they never have forgotten the role of Indian peacekeeping force in Sri Lanka. And a life was cut short. Then VP Singh has his role, but P.P. Narasimha Rao, as foreign minister, he has contributed to the foreign policy. As the Prime Minister of India, he has particularly reforms that he started in 1991, taking Manmohan Singh as finance minister, who is an internationally reputed economist. P.V. Narasimha Rao is known for that, and he was a quiet man. He knew about 16, 17 languages, including many foreign languages. So he was a great negotiator. Then H.D. Devagowda was for some time the prime minister. But during Indira Kumar Gujral, there was a Gujral doctrine which talked about cooperation with the neighbors, leadership, that the Faraka agreement was signed with Bangladesh. Then I'm noted, and saying he also played an important role as the Prime Minister of India in formulating the foreign policy of India. So far as the Modi foreign policy is concerned, Modi is in power for the say 10 years or more, and he has started his own policy. He has a style of diplomacy, and in a way, some people he has recorded visits as prime minister. The other day, a few days in Poland. Before that, he was in Russia. So he and visited many countries of the world to for science and technology, for bringing in investment, in meeting the diaspora. So he talks diplomacy, particularly our national security advisor, Mr. Ajit Doval, for formulating foreign policy, and he has recruited our former foreign secretary, S. Jayasankar as the Minister of External Affairs, there is no doubt about it. Modi has also utilized the Indian diaspora for bringing tried to his best to strengthen relationship with America, with Japan. Then invited the SARC leaders to attend his swearing ceremony. He was sworn in as the Prime Minister of India. A stage economy driven for effective foreign policy. In an address to the University of Madras, that means much before the Prime Minister, just in 40, we have to put on our house in order. The world sets attracted to us. That means the world is set our house in order. He has been consistently demanding the permanent because of our immense contribution to world peace. His emphasis has been given on the 3D. Other feature to the let me say now when we say India is a global leader or India is a great power or India is a Vishwa Guru. Recently it is circulated in the social media, but it is published in the app. Ramachandra Guha said India cannot be a Vishwa Guru because of certain constraints that India has to face. I'm not going to dilate on that, but you must all know that this very concept of India being a Vishwa Guru or teacher of the teacher has been articulated by Narendra Modi. How to live in this world, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi has coined the term Vikasit Bharat, building a developed nation and becoming a superpower by 2047. Because 2047, so Modi is a formulation of Vikasit Bharat has said, and Niti Aayog has given an approach paper. Those who are interested, they can go through the approach paper of Niti Aayog on the Vikasit Bharat, which has given a detailed blueprint of our planning for Vikasit Bharat. We want a country, US 30 trillion economy by 2047, with a per capita income of US $18,000 per annum. We also want the GDP to grow 9 times from today's 3.636 trillion US dollars, and per capita income would need to rise 8 times from the current 2,392 US dollars per annum. So GDP has to go 9 times, and per capita income has to grow 8 times to meet the target of Narendra Modi ji. India's strength lies in its demographic dividends. With a population of 140 crore or 4 crore, India is one of the youngest nations with a median age of 20 to 29 years. This accounts for nearly 20% of the world's total young population. Half of India's population is below 25 years old. People above 60 years constitute 10% of the population in India, and the figure will double. That means it will become 20% by the time we go for 2047. So the Niti Aayog in its approach paper said, I quote, India has the potential and aims to be a high-income country by its independence, by centenary of its independence in 2047. However, being a developed nation, a because Bharat cannot be reduced to a single monetary attribute, would have to signify a good quality of life for individuals and enable a society which is vibrant, culturally rich, and harmonious, unquote. Modi first referred to his Viksit Bharat vision in his speech on the ramparts of the ramparts of the Red Fort on 15th August 2022, appealing people to work towards that goal. By 2047, 112 crore people will be part of the labor pool. There are now 1,168 universities and around 45,000 colleges in India. And there are 30,000 independent institutions as well. In 1947, we had only 20 universities and 500 colleges. The literacy rate was about 17% or 18%. So we have progressed in this front to a large extent. The graduates need skilling to prepare them for the global job market. Often we debate on a topic. I suggest the philosophy family to debate on one issue, industry academia collaboration in the realm of higher education. I had the opportunity of attending 3 very big national seminars in Delhi, Calcutta, and Bhubaneswar on industry academia collaboration. What is the purpose? So then India's diaspora is very strong. It is the world's largest diaspora. They account for $111 billion remittance to India. Indian origin CEOs are now across the multinational companies in the world. The diaspora is a source of strength. They can be leveraged to generate investment, attract technology, and create knowledge for India. So what will be India at the rate 100? One, economy, $30 trillion American dollars, per capita, 18,000 per annum US dollars, total population, 165 crore, the largest populated country of the world, surpassing China. Population in cities will be nearly 50%. So there is a great craze for urbanization. Aging population will be 20%. Life expectancy will be 84 years. Working age population will be 112 crore. Literacy rate will be 100%. Foreign students studying in India will be 5 lakhs. Share of electric vehicle 75% by 2050. So life will be changed. If we become a superpower, life will be changed dramatically to artificial intelligence, but inequality is perpetuated by caste, religion, gender, or economic status would have to be eradicated. To become a superpower, a country has to be self-reliant and capable in food security, energy sufficiency, defense, space, and even sports. We often talk in terms of 3 E's: economic prosperity, environmental security, and equity. These are the 3 things. The Olympic bid for India by India in 2036 will definitely showcase a confidence that may have a that will create a sports culture in India. Recently, in the last Paris Olympic, we had 6 medals, but not a single gold. So, how to even carve out our position in the Olympics is a very challenging task for us. As futurist Alvin Toffler said, our moral responsibility is not to stop the future, but to shape it, to channel our destiny in human directions, and to ease the trauma of transition. So we have to march forward to achieve our versus Bharat or something. But to match our vision, we must do. For example, if you compare with the three countries of the world, China, Japan, Germany, and even Singapore and South Korea, we have to learn many things from them. For example, China stands out due to its massive investment in infrastructure and the manufacturing sector. The Japanese work culture and the female labor participation in Japan is more than 70%, which are most major contributing factor for Japanese position in the world. For example, South Korea is world's leading tech and automobile industries. They are having the technology, very high technology. They have export-oriented free market economy. The Korean development is being cited as a development model by the World Bank. So we have to follow that. The other thing is, I will just give you a comparative data between China and America, if time permits. You see the difference. Population, more than 4.5 billion each. India is the world's most populous country. Economic status. China is the second largest economy, approximately 18 trillion American dollars. It is the fifth largest, more than 3.7 trillion US dollars. The World Bank calls China upper middle economy income country, and India is a lower middle income country. Poverty. China has eradicated absolute poverty in 2020, lifting some 800 million people after 40 years of economic reforms, because China became a communist country in 49. We became independent in 47. That is why the comparison. According to the Chinese government staff, an estimated 17.2% of the population lives under poverty line, upper middle income group. They make less than 56.85% per day. Then, as the government is concerned, China is a single party autocracy, India is a multi party democracy. So, for demography concerned, China, the median age is 39, and in India it is 28 to 29. Sex ratio among people younger than 25 in 2023, there were 116 males to 100 females in China, 110 males to 100 females in India. Span. In 2020, it was 79 years for China and 68 for India, according to the World Healthcare. In 2021, China spent 5.38% of the GDP on healthcare, in 3.28% of the GDP. Netizens. China has around 1 billion internet users. India has more than 820 million active users, according to the government data from both the countries. Climate action. China net zero emission target by 2070, India by 2060. Military. China has the world's largest standing army, 2 million active personnel, followed by India around 1.45 million. So this is a comparison. And another comparison is, so far as the active military personnel is concerned, India has 14 lakhs 55,550. China has 20 lakh 35,300. So for defense budget is concerned, China has 231.4 and India has 75. So that way, if you compare with China, India is lagging behind in many indicators. That is a serious challenge for us. So these attributes may be more consequential of charting our trajectory to be a great power by 2047. He said health and wealth. We should identify life expectancy as the prime measure of national development. We do not create future, it is said, but the present extend. If we do not create the future, the present extends itself. India has to take stock of our present healthcare status. Health threats posing climate changes, environmental pollution, and loss of biodiversity. Future pandemics are high probable events. Life expectancy 32 years in 1947 has now become 40.4 years in 2022, but lower than that of Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Nepal, so far as the life expectancy is concerned. Therefore, higher public financing for strengthening health system is required. So far as the Bikasit Bharat is concerned, the citizens should play a very important role because Bikasit Bharat requires every Indian to be a Bikasit Bharatiya, Bikasit Indian. It is a mandate for an inclusive growth, like we say, Sabka Saath Sabka Vikas Sabka Prayas, like that. Fulfill the basic needs of the people. But in this connection, let me point out that both China, our great neighbor, and we have core values. What are the core values that we say as ancient civilizations? Morality, communality, spirituality, people centrality, harmony, then filial piety, which means cultural value that involves social respect and obedience to one's parents, elders, and ancestors. Then benevolence, righteousness, wisdom, honesty, and loyalty. These are the oriental values that are omnipresent in all Asian civilizations. India, we have Vasudeva Kutumbakam, the world is one, and China also there. So China's rise as a great power, which we are aspiring for, is the most significant political and economic development of the present century. So I will come to my final stage. Why India is important in the world? India is important in the world because of its vast size, because of its demographic profile, because of its geographical location, because it has a constitutional democracy, because it has a stable democracy where principles are strong. India is also economically developed. Its defense spending is comparatively increasing day by day. There is a large and growing middle class of higher skilled English speaking population. We have well developed education institutions for products from IIT or IIM or Tata Institute of Social Sciences or Tata Institute of that what is called the Bangalore based institution is also
Fundamental research, Tata Institute of
fundamental
Fundamental.
research. Their products can be compared with any in the whole world. We have innovative information technology or in digital technology. We are definitely having a good place in the whole world. We have ability to attract foreign investment, and therefore, as I have told you, our policy has been Vasudeva Kutumbakam. World is one family, according to Vedic traditions. All living beings on earth are a family. The theme of the logo of the India G20 presidency, that is the period from 1 February 2022 to 30th January 2013, was one earth, one family, one future. Then pluralism, multiculturalism, federalism, secularism, welfareism, these have been the isms or these are the ideological perceptions or models that we are following. We have in India the Buddhist conception of middle path and non-attachment in India's non-alignment policy. Therefore, we created NAM, We talked about Lucas policy, tactics policy. We follow the original Indian philosophy of thinking and spiritualism, universalism, tolerance, and brotherhood. We are the original contributors. And so far as non-violence is concerned, October 2 has been recognized as the International Day of Non-Violence by a resolution passed by the United Nations General Assembly back in 2024. So I will also come to another picture. Why we have the potentialities to be a world leader? Because India is a global leader in the power dynamics. The nation states around the world have undergone a sea change in 20th century. World is now interconnected, interdependent to one another because of globalization. India has the following indicators. It is a fast-growing economy. It has the advantage in field of agriculture. It has groundbreaking technology in space. We claim to be power in the space technology. A relatively young and dynamic population, good foreign relationship, robust and vibrant democracy, competent armed forces, resource movement, and we have also got a big population, and I have indicated that India has the largest economy in terms of purchasing power parity. India's GDP market exchange rates are to reach 5 trillion US dollar by 2027. That has been our target. World leader in various agricultural commodities. Number one rice exporter as per the record 2021. In information technology, India is also a world leader. India's diaspora is a whopping 31 million people who are influential asset in our foreign policy. People from Indian origin are CEOs of corporate houses in the world. India is fortunate to have all major religions of the world, and four are indigenous religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism. Three from outside, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. We made spectacular achievements in COVID-19 pandemic management. I have mentioned about the vaccine diplomacy earlier. We have inner peace to 7 million plus people, generating near universal in yoga. India had successfully gone for advanced space programs. We are planning to have our education advancement in various fields in terms of new economic policy or national economic policy 2020, laying emphasis on rich cultural heritage of culture, knowledge, and through inviting foreign universities to operate. India has a long history of service in UN peacekeeping operation, beginning from opposition in Congo in 1950. Then we have given humanitarian assistance and disaster relief during natural disasters around the world. But we have challenges. What are the challenges? We have cross-border terrorism. We have hostile neighbors. We have still a greater portion of our population who have not got the benefits of development. So there is poverty being measured in terms of either calorie intake, capita income. There is corporatization of education and healthcare. That is a challenge because that is only for the rich. For the rich, about 10% of people, they own 80% of the resources in India. There is increased withdrawal of economy because of the LPG culture. The poor rubbed up for social security and they are losing jobs. Social justice is a lost cause in a global economy. Influence of multilateral institutions such as WTO, World Bank, and International Monetary Fund impacting on independent foreign domestic policies. The multinational also they pose some problems, though they are welcome in some cases, they are creating problems in other cases. Emphasis on public sector. Globalization has produced impact on Indian masses, especially peasants, workers. Even women are adversely affected by globalization. Problem of displacement in the tribal uh, belt because there is industrial displacements or forced displacement due to industrialization development resulting in politics of apathy and alienation. Market forces are influencing politics, that is marketization of economy and globalization of market. There is unemployment, underemployment, downsizing, right sizing, loss of jobs, and outsourcing. But in my opinion, the climate change is a great challenge for all of us. Climate change and global warming are very much interchangeably used. But I must remind my friends that way back in 1972, it was Indira Gandhi who gave her historic speech at Stockholm, Sweden, because the first international conference on human development was held at Stockholm, Sweden during 5th to 14th June 1992. The motto was only one earth, was declared the Environmental Day. So in that particular conference, Indira Gandhi gave the slogan, earth is the great, poverty is the great polluter. Since then, we have been trying to play negotiations. So to come to conclusion, let me conclude how many experts see it. As Shankar, our foreign minister, says, India can play a stabilizing and bridging role at a time when the world no longer. He further said, countries wanted to talk to us because there is a belief that we are in touch with key players and we can influence them. Like, for example, there is a hope that with Modi's visit to Ukraine, might be some negotiation will come up within Russia and Ukraine. We can save the thinking. We can contribute to say things which many others cannot see or have reached out to be possible for everybody to do so. Sasi Tharoor, who is MP from Thiruvananthapuram, he was elected third time continuously. He is a good writer. He is a good speaker as well, and he has international exposure. He commented, I believe that the era of any country claiming or seeking to be a world leader is definitely over. To be a world leader, India has to follow certain norms. Then we have other comments that have been opposed, and I have already hinted to you that the foreign policy of a country is linked to domestic politics, to the national interest. I'll also quote Dr. Manmohan Singh, our former Prime Minister, what he says. Manmohan Singh is an internationally reputed economist. There is no doubt about it. He was our most successful finance minister. There is no doubt about it. He led the country for 10 years as prime minister. There is no doubt about it. In spite of the fact that he was called a Moni Baba, he doesn't speak much. Once he said, because my daughter is married in Orissa, money is not available in the trees. पैसा नहीं होता है पेड़ में पैसा. That was a statement he gave and he was criticized. So Manmohan Singh, I quote, he said, in the Committee of the Nations, India won respect for adopting principled propositions, using colonial rule, leading the non-aligned movement when two superpower blocs were seeking global domination, espousing human rights and promoting the cause of peace. Our relations with the most of our neighbors were cordial. Even when we had conflict with some, we tried to build bridges of understanding to enable peaceful coexistence. We need to maintain these positions even as the world witnesses new conflicts and alliances. It is essential for us to be regarded as a reliable and repeated friend in most countries of the world, but especially in South Orissa. So to conclude, let me say we have a long way to go to carve out a position as a superpower. We have many challenges that I have already talked to you, particularly the challenge of cross-border terrorism is looming large, and other challenges, climate challenge is there. Then global warming is a challenge, poverty is a challenge, generating employment is a challenge. But I think we will succeed with the united effort. United we stand, divided we fall. Thank you very much for giving me a patient hearing. I thank the philosophy family for giving me an opportunity to interact with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for a beautiful lecture. Wonderful it is. And I should thank you for having a view that India can emerge as a Vishwa Guru. Your challenges that you have pointed out is a hope that we can emerge as a Vishwa Guru, because if you are not careful about the challenges, you cannot simply overlook. So when you have in mind the challenges that we need to address, so we are having a hope that we can emerge as a Vishwa Guru. So with these words, having a good hope that we will emerge as a Vishwa Guru, and also during the course of interaction, we will also have the views of Ramchandra Guha, why he refuses. India cannot emerge as a Vishwa Guru. We'll look into that. But starting with Professor Ranjit Gupta, let us carry on this discussion. Over to Dr. Ghosh. Dr. Ghosh, please, if you have your views and the questions that you have in mind, you can please. Dr. Ghosh.
Hello. Thank you, Dr. Rao. Am I audible? Hello. Am I audible now?
Sir, you're audible, sir. You're audible. You're audible.
Sorry, I will not be visible today because the camera is.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. No issue, sir. Carry on.
So we listen to a long lecture by Professor Choudhury about India's India in retrospect and prospect. So far, prospect is concerned, philosophically speaking, prospect is always a vision. So we let me aside
Please
the
put off
prospect.
your microphone so that we can record Professor Ghosh's voice better. Please put off your microphone for a while, Professor Choudhury. Please put off your microphone. Yes, now Dr. Ghosh, yes.
So when we are discussing India prospect and prospect, and Professor Choudhury started with the giving emphasis on the foreign policy that shaped the present day India as he has tried to put before us. But I have some complaint regarding the Nehruvian policy of foreign relationship. Nehru was a visionary, had very little sense of real politics, I should say, because you see he has failed on two fronts for which we are suffering till now. First is when the Western countries, they asked India to become a member of the Security Council, Nehru, instead of being a member of the Security Council, he just tried to see the interest of China to become a member of the Security Council. Why did happen then? Because Nehru was then pursuing a philosophy of Panchashtra, and he could not see the consequences that his great neighbor China will at some point of time will betray him. So for that reason, when he could not uh, help India to enter into the Security Council, then we are suffering for this over the years. Whenever there was a problem in India, and whenever the UN tried to solve the problems in their own ways, the ways which they are having their own ways, then China adopted and that for that India suffered a lot. So it was, I should say, Nehru made a Himalayan blunder of not put India in the Security Council. This is the first one. And another point I want to refer that Nehru has also had opened the floodgates for rapid Islamization of India. What he should have done as the first Prime Minister have tried to pursue the Uniform Civil Code, about which we have many years, because when we are students, we have eulogized Nehru, but as the time advances, as we are suffering right now of that we are trying to find out falls with Nehru, like him who wrote this glimpses of world history, how he could. This is my criticism about Nehru. And he tried to pursue the peace non-alignment to us is he has many contributions towards the foreign policy to pursue Indian manner in the Gandhian way. Things has made all the problems for India. He supported the Uniform Civil Code and kept the Muslim to see that Hindu code will not. It created a divisibility at that point of time, and other highway which created Kashmir as a separate. He was very much criticized by his own lawmakers. So I considered Ambedkar to be a better statesman than Nehru because of his flaws. And you see that the dynastic politics, these are all emerging from that great Nehru, Chacha Nehru of our young days when we used to celebrate. So, perspective way in which because we are discussing India in retrospect, this many other things will come if we go. Time will not permit it. I know you also discuss these things because if we discuss on these things for a long, it will take 2-3 hours. So, whereas we come down to the vision of Modi. Modi's vision on India is on certain issues, but I am also a critic of Modi on when his vision was to bring bullet train to India, and you see Indian Railway of bullet trains when Japan supported him and gave a great amount towards this end. He led to massive deforestation in and Ahmedabad. And you see, here Modi, even after a shrewd, he failed on this count because you see, somebody wants to go from Mumbai, he had to pray, he had to pay. Apart from the time consumed, so he also is on this issue is not a political situation and planning that in 19 what he said that we should Olympic in India. So is India really prepared for that? Is the situation in sports when the anywhere else they go for second or third position or like that, they never go for gold and will get gold. They get gold because we don't have any sports policy. Problem in what two examples I'm mentioning, so many other problems are there. See things with a critics. That is why I am reiterating is this, that prospect, the vision must be based on real politics. The real you say that Modi is going on well in foreign policy these days because of Ajit Doval or prior to Jaishankar Raj was there. But the thing is, what actually we gain out of help us in eradication of all the negative things that Indian society, the terrorism to a great extent, tries for a surgical strike, immediate political parties, they will ask him that actually this, whether this surgical strike has actually taken place. Time is ripe enough, I should think, that the election takes place in Kashmir, Pakistan again. But can Modi go for it at this point of time? Because he has now challenged in every front by his opposition members, and it is said that he is on two crutches, like in this yeah. So I should say that, but visionary was also Atal Bihari. You know, when Nehru, Vajpayee was in parliament at his younger days, Nehru was the prime minister. Man is having the futuristic thinking, and Nehru himself was a batsman of his own right, but Vajpayee, he also man of his own right. In the time of Vajpayee, we have also seen many ups and downs of foreign policy in Indian context. So the thing is, prospect is all think about the prospect, but the prospect should be for your very nice and detailed speech and your own views on my observation.
For your observations and the questions that come in. Well, Professor Choudhury, to respond and in brief, please, because we have and you can respond. I wish Dr. Choudhury will respond to this. Dr. Choudhury, please go ahead.
Was raised pertinent points. And only thing I would suggest is that at a particular time is saved by the time factor, in which era this particular very were very good. Article 370 and 35A of the on bullet train pointed out regarding sports policy also. He lamented and really our at par with even smaller countries of the world. Countries of the world they get a few gold. We are not getting a single. There was a teacher from university. He came to me and said, "Sir, he could not get a single gold medal." I said, "Patnaik Babu, what is your suggestion? Now let us now decide to contribute each 1 rupee, 1 rupee each. So if we have got 130 crores, if we contribute 1 rupee each to be spent on, let him get gold. We'll pay 1 rupee each." That means he lamented it is not encouraging the sports culture nor spending money to infrastructure. For example, hockey spend so much of money. What about the government of India? Mr. Nabin Patnaik, a chief minister, was very much concerned about interest in hockey as an event, but we need more spending. You know, the amount they spend, the arrangements they make, the hospital extend, the infrastructure, they are amazing. So we have to prepare for that. I entirely agree with Professor.
Refusal.
I don't have any information on that because, as I remember, which was not Red China, because in 1949, China became an independent country under Mao's leadership, Mao Zedong. Till I think he was not a member. So I remember in the local college, Khalikot College, most colleges of southern Odisha, even people like V.V. Giri and Vishwanath students. At that time, the SFI lost the United Nations to become a member of the Security Council is our victory and your victory. So the communists rejoiced in India after the Red China entered. But I don't know about because we've been trying to become a member. Many countries they support our cause, but it has been vetoed. We don't know when we will get the demanding democratization of the security. Let there be seven. What is so? Because I have told you 5 permanent members, 10 members on circulation every 2 years. So therefore, let them expand Security Council. Moreover, the United Nations functioning the desire of the founders. The United Nations have become a in the hands of the powers who are paying for its maintenance. At one time, I was quoted that 75% of the UN budget that is being met by American government. So, floor of the United Nations. Security Council or whether that is the thing. But refusing to become a Security Council member, uh,
Okay. Thank you, sir. Well, we have with us other professors from political science department. But in the meanwhile, I request be brief in his exposition of the topic, Professor Choudhury, and also raise important concerns. Entire talk of Professor Behra. Over to Dr. Please have because we have many scholars and we wish to listen to all of them. Maybe he has some internet. So, well, in the meantime, sir. Well, in the meantime, when India was secular right from the beginning, the British time out whatsoever, the Indian culture itself is secular. We people, there was no introducing the Wars Amendment Act. What was the need? How do you see? Was there? What was the basis in it? Because it was largely communist, I think. But what was the need? Please, your views, Professor Choudhury, sir. Please.
no, no, secular, the word secular was in emergency. In only four words, as I have indicated, they were included in the Constitution. Various articles, for example, Article 25, we have given religion. You can profess like that was there. Of time, Mrs. Gandhi, the Prime Minister, who was not very opposition, arrested most of them, realized that these two words we incorporate socialist and secular. Even people now question socialist word is relevant in the present day of LPG culture, where you have liberalization, where is socialism now? Now, anybody fighting on, you look at 60s and 70s, so political leaders, communist, socialist, even the progressive among the congressmen, they were shouting socialism. Hmm. Slogan was लाल किले पर मांग रहे हैं मजदूर किसान. So those, now nobody talks about, now everybody talks about good governance, administration at the doorstep, inclusive growth, sustainable development, हर हाथ को काम हर खेत को साथ सबका विश्वास सबका प्रयास. These were the slogans. But that this uniform civil code is, my impression is, for a long period on the basis of only religion. Soft Hindutva, this, that, for a longer period. Because there are other issues. Like, for example, he said yes, but not a temple going type. Hindu, he said yes, I don't go to temples. So we have now population 90 in states like Bihar, Maharashtra, UP. So to have a Hindu Rashtra here. Because from the very beginning, Janasangh has highlighting under some of one that the party for Hindi, Hindu, Hindustan, which was created in 19 the same pattern, Hindi, Hindu, Hindustan. So somebody said, you must have people with secular minds. Only telling that we are a state or a theocratic state. This was the Islamic state. So why quarrel? Why quarrel? That Hindus have been tortured in Bangladesh. How to solve this botheration now? To be protected there. There are minorities there. Religious questions, secularism versus communalism. Because for the BJP or the earlier Jansangh, they were a National Congress policy. They said we want positive secularism to be debate, Rao Garu. Now even question why these
Professor,
amendments.
Professor Choudhury, knowing that in the Constituent Assembly, what secular was discussed, make its entry into the preamble to the Constitution of India. Ambedkar said that it is not necessary. You cannot you cannot make the polity by bringing secular word into it, because the society itself is not secular. India. So how can you think bringing the word secular into the preamble, the problem will be over? For that reason, he never bothered to make the secular into. But Indira Gandhi had. That's why I'm telling. These actually opened the floodgates for the Islamization and the that I am not support. I don't say that we can have a Hindu Rashtra. So that will that is not possible in India, because India, we have to accommodate them somehow or other. But the thing is, the way things are put up. A ghost of Huntington always because of this, because in every you take the minority, you get the votes and you come to the power. So, and now you will be. It is a very dangerous trend. Right wing and the BJP is totally alienated from Muslim voters because of this polarization in the Indian politics. Please explain. Thank you, sir.
It is the top in the parties, including Congress.
Okay. So
So
thank
how
you.
politics we say.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. When we have with us Radha, time anybody to rise was or something say that, well, yes, Radhanath Bera sir. Yes, sir. Please, sir. Please, sir. Carry on, sir. Namaskar, sir. Please.
It was a sort of all sweeping by Professor Choudhury.
Professor Choudhury, can you please record better? Sir Behra.
You see, in the present scenario, you cannot just make people secular, just preamble. It may be justiciable. You can punish someone if he violates the norm. But then, if you want to do away with, with this culture of secularism, you go back to thousands of years, where we inherited from Ashoka onwards to Gandhi. Now, the social fabric has now been strengthened. It is no more fragile because you have to take all people into account. And the modern times demand go away, do away with your religion, become somewhat modern. That medieval mindset of Mahatma Gandhi will do. This is situation. The whole world worships Mahatma Gandhi as a rare champion of everybody poor, neglected, downtrodden, and so on. But at the same time, the very thinking of Mahatma Gandhi encouraged. Partly modern and partly Gandhian. He had to face the world. The way you say that Kashmir we settled just because Mountbatten prevailed upon Nehru to take the issue to the global forum, namely the UN. Nehru was a philosopher, an idealist, a visionary, not a very down to earth person like Sardar Patel. He was humanity at last. The whole world concept was within Nehru's mind. When India was defeated, Dr. Radhakrishnan, the president, that he described our failure to attributed it to two words: negligence. We were too too much happy with our aggressive neighbor because of Hindu Hindi Chini Bhai. That was a setback because whenever China had a mind to have incursion into Indian territory, Nehru was warned. And also frivolous was Mr. B.K. Krishnamurti. So that was a sort of failure. We were sleeping, duty and negligence. That POK was with India, unfortunately, because of be our too much over us, we failed to negotiate with Pakistan just because they were starving. Gandhi said, "You cannot divide India. If you do it, you may do it at over dead body." Theocracy, a country born with a sort of vengeance the approach, and whoever was against us was against Islam, was against us. So forget those things. Practical. The Western countries have produced giants and politics, but India, because offerings, has to depend on the Marx condemned religion as an opium of people, and communist countries moved that way. But can we in India? Because that is our mainstay, our backbone, our lifeblood. Therefore, people take advantage of it. Humility is not timidity. We are humble. The world looks up to be a world leader. Many things are required. I don't believe that by the year 2047, things would dramatically change because of our weakness for democracy. Chinese situation is different. The socialistic side, where everything can be imposed, because Mao said power flows from the barrel of gun. Think of it. Barrel of gun will be silenced in India. Best thing would be wait and see, improve within, look at the world. Vasudhaiva Kutumbam is all right, but to be a leader, you have to make a lot of sacrifice. Our satellite nations, Bhutan, China, Bhutan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, even Malaysia. Malaysia is not a partner. It is about to purchase formidable weapon, BrahMos. BrahMos was Brahma is Brahma, the and Moss is from Moscow. They believe that culture. You have to develop such a powerful weapon, and if possible, to employ it neighbors. System is different. They can control them, and they have adopted one child norm. Of course, doesn't be sustainable because their population, young population was increasing. Therefore, they reverted to the two-child norm. In this pattern, our thinking, our culture, our religious tradition are either assets or weaknesses. So, to be a leader, you have to head on the be prepared to sacrifice yourself, your self-interest. But in the present scenario, just think of it. And one Chinese diplomat said to Indian, "You are so powerful in software. We are thorough with our hardware. Let us cooperate and dominate the world." Statement. India cannot itself over the belligerent neighbors because Pakistan and are to be negotiated on some principles. Our land would be sufficient, therefore, they would be to negotiate with them and at the same time help our Sri Lanka, uh, Bhutan, Nepal, and so on, so that they would be attracted towards India from China. So this is just a sort of euphoria. Policy built on happy ideas and not on the ground reality. If that is possible, within. And and when China was defeating us, there was a Nehru immediately started thinking globally. Radhakrishnan indirectly warned him. Let and think of the world. So when the ground is slipping from our feet, you can never over others. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Behra, for your reviews. Well, we have with us people from the Department of Political Science. Well, if they are interested, well, we have with us Dr. Abhaya Paricha, sir. We have with us Dr. Suresh Prasad Sadangi, sir. If they are interested, they can have their Dr. Abhaya Paricha, sir. Please, sir. Namaskar. Please, sir. Yes, sir.
Esteemed
Your voice is low.
members, my
Voice is low, please.
esteemed members, my respected teacher, it has been a treat for me to listen to Dr. Bishnu Charan Choudhury, and I have been one of his very fortunate students right from my student's career. I have been listening him, And today also, this is a very exceptional day for me when I could learn from Mr. Rao that he would be delivering a lecture on India's foreign policy. Sir, it was a great thing. Of Philosophy Society, and I am from Political Science. My observation is that yes, India is following a very now it is quite visible, and we have learned how to high in perhaps after Indira Gandhi, one leader who could withstand to the pressure of the superpowers that eye to eye with the superpowers. That day has come, and India is doing it perfect. At the pressure of United States, Minister Modi visited Putin. But the same thing and happened with Pakistan, and he was Imran didn't happen in the India. But one thing that while we are uh, building policy, we talk in terms of power. One of our colleagues said that power, yes, listens to powerfuls only. And when we say about power, it is both military and cannot be a superpower unless you are economically strong. So India is on its path of to become a military and technologically you need to be very powerful. We are on that path. Yes, we are facing a lot of challenges from our neighbors, from outside neighbors. Friendly countries have never been that friendly with India right now. We should be very smart. But yes, we have been not that successful in our relationship with our neighbors. And India was a distant, while in terms of our relationship, we can take the example of Pakistan. It has become a distant neighbor. India is a distant neighbor, and probably will continue to be a distant neighbor. In that case, what's our foreign policy to deal with those countries? If you need to be a superpower, first you have to have a say. Failed miserably with our neighbors, how our say would be heard in the faraway places. Thank you. Great talk. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Parisha. Well, India is growing and it is growing as a great economic power. Bit of time and hope for the best. Well, thank you. Well, we have admin Professor Das, Dr. Das. Namaskar, sir. Well, if anybody is interested to have, anyway, Dr. Das. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, sir, sir,